Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
What's up, everybody? This is your co-host, Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average podcast-producing badass.
And I'm John Thomas. If it's haunted, cursed, or just plain weird, I'm into it. From paranormal encounters to horror movie deep dives, urban legends, cryptids, count me in.
I'm BJ Sewura, an aspiring paranormal musician who plays live for the dead because the living just doesn't want to hear me.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of our spooky pals out there? In today's episode, we'll be diving into the world of the spooky unknown with special returning guest and host of the Paranorm Girl podcast, Kristen Amanda. Welcome back, Kristen.
Thank you so much. It's really, really good to be back. It's been a while.
We had you on, what was it, like 2 seasons ago? And it was fantastic. And your show was just like, I think you were going further into Sasquatch and Bigfoot research.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went well, and it went in directions I don't think I was expecting, I guess. I felt like I landed a little bit more logically speaking, like scientifically speaking, because there's so much science to it. Like there's so much evidence to it. I think at the beginning of that one, I was very unsure about the whole thing. Sasquatch was not my thing, which I probably mentioned last time. Just not. I wasn't raised on those stories, whatever. So at the beginning, I was just... I may very well end on this one being like, yeah, well, it's cool that other people believe. And just imagine my surprise. At the end, I became a Sasquatch girly. They are out there, man. They are totally out there. There's something out there.
Because you talked to a lot of people and you did a lot of research. So with all of the interactions you had surrounding Sasquatch and or Bigfoot, because I know they're two separate things, two separate species. That was very inconsiderate. Things. They are two separate concepts. So with all of the interviews that you did and discussions you had, was there one story that stood out really, like, just it caught you, it pulled you in? That really might have been the pivotal moment, like, aha.
The pivotal moment for my belief in it, or just a memorable story?
Let's go with both. Because it might be separate occasions.
It wasn't, for the pivotal moment, that one will be kind of easy, but a little bit more generalized, because it wasn't just one specific story that was like, ha, yes, now. It was Dr. Jeff Meldrum and his evidence and his body of work. And unfortunately, if you're familiar with the Sasquatch world, he did pass away this last year, and it was very sad, and I was very lucky to have met them and been able to correspond with him a little bit before he passed away. Very, very sad in the community. But his work for decades leading up to last year, and the books that he wrote on it, Legends of Sasquatch is a big book that he wrote about it, and just pouring through that and seeing him lay it out, because he was an anthropology professor. And so he just had this way of explaining these stories and linking up the evidence to these stories and how it all fits together and how it works, and just explaining it in words that were really simple to understand for me. So that plus Dr. Grover Kranz's work, his big Footprints, I believe was the name of his book. That was kind of similar to Legends of Sasquatch. It was a little bit dated. It was a little bit older. So he spent a lot of the time in his book talking about those older stories, like the famous like California sighting, and just those early stories and the beginning of the whole phenomenon in America, at least. But he did the same thing with evidence and just walking people through it. And he went into math and just like really sincere, deep like anthropological and science of it. So that was really fascinating. And it just dawned on me one day that there's some really serious people, like professional, smart, serious people who think this thing is out there. Maybe I should listen to what they're saying. And I did. And I felt like it all just kind of came together at that point. So that was my pivotal moment. As far as a memorable story, this one does stick with me. And I don't think I told it. Do you guys remember anything about a lady talking about Bigfoot wanting to, get together?
I don't think so.
I vaguely,
No? Okay.
vaguely remember, but please continue.
I don't want to tell the same story. So stop me if I did tell you this. But this was a story that was relayed to me, not on my show, but it was on my other show, Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen. And a caller had called in, and he had worked for a Bigfoot organization, like research and story gathering. And he had received this story from this woman who was claiming that Bigfoot was coming down to her trailer every night, and she suspected that he wanted to sleep with her. And the researcher that took the story, he was like, well, I mean, why would you suspect that? And she goes on to say, well, his penis is glowing, and he's pounding on the side of my trailer every night. and so that was like a for the researchers involved, they're like, huh? What? What is that? He had his erection is growing. Sorry, I misspoke, but his erection is glowing. And so
growing?
glowing. Well, and growing. Yeah. And so the researchers were just kind of befuddled by this. And they after this story came in, they went so far as to be like, well, I mean, let's say this is happening, and how is this possible? And they were, talking about theorizing. Well, there's certain mushrooms in the woods that glow. They're phosphorescent, and maybe he was rolling in it, and he was coming down with an erection, and it was, it was getting him happy, and just all you think of, the theories that come after something like that are a lot of fun. But that was the story that was just so memorable. So it wasn't on my show, which I'm so sad about, but I was just glad to hear it on the other one.
Yeah, you didn't tell us that story. I would remember a
Oh,
glowing
okay.
penis.
Okay.
That was not one of the stories, but I'm so glad you shared it.
No.
So what was it glowing yellow or
Oh yeah, he wants to know what color.
what color was this penis?
I know we
course.
all want specifics, but I wasn't told that. I don't know. Phosphorescent mushrooms. What do they usually glow? Like green?
I guess it depends on that.
It should depend on the mushroom, right?
I mean, isn't a mushroom itself phallic?
I picture the episode from The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is all glowing, and that's I don't know, but yeah.
Like nuclear.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to explain this one away.
No.
It's a new one.
No,
New one for the Sasquatch canon. Glowing penis.
Yeah, it really does belong in a book somewhere. It's a fantastic story. I really thank the caller for calling in with that and sharing it with us, because we never would have known. And I have heard other stories of people who claim romantic relations with Bigfoot, and it's not an erotic novel, it's for real, and they carry on these, or think that they do, carry on these erotic and romantic relationships with them. I don't want to judge.
It makes you wonder, though, with so many individuals that report having intimate relations with Bigfoot, who exactly they are having these intimate interactions with. Let's say hypothetically, let's take it at face value. They're having intimate relationships with somebody. It really does make you wonder who, if it's not Bigfoot or Sasquatch, who exactly are they interacting with in this way?
I don't know. So it's not that they're making up the situation or the occurrence. It's just that they're putting a Bigfoot persona on somebody.
Because I'm a firm believer, a lot of the stuff that we talk about when it comes to cryptids, paranormal, most people I do feel are actually experiencing something. What it is, I don't know. Could be a ghost, could be Bigfoot, could be Sasquatch, but it could be aliens. I mean, there's just so much we don't know out in the world that oftentimes I do give people the benefit of the doubt that they experienced something. But what that was.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the nature of cryptids, though, isn't it? Because cryptid it just means it's an animal that's it's an animal that's not technically discovered. It's not on the books
Mm-hmm.
yet, but people are claiming to see it over and over and over again. So it very well could have been a Bigfoot, like an actual Bigfoot, and she saw one, and he was attracted and liked what he saw. But you could go off in other avenues too, like maybe kind of what you're saying, like there are other creatures that like take on the visual of certain things to kind of weasel their way into your life too. So that could be true as well.
You mentioned that you take calls in for different stories, right? On the other podcast. Have you ever had that where somebody would chime in and then another person would be like, I know exactly what they're talking about, like that same area where people kind of experience Bigfoot in that same spot or something along those lines, or have had similar experiences there?
So far, the kinds of calls we get are so sporadic and kind of like just removed from each other. So far, that hasn't really been a case, but I'm hoping that it gets to that point. I want to take all the calls, and somebody calls one right after another. It's like, dude, Jim, that just called. I was there. I saw it, or I was in New York, and that thing like came and banged on my walls, and like. I want that so bad. You have no idea. I just want to bring the para community together, guys.
The science in me also wonders what the people that are recording or reporting that they are having these intimate relationships or interactions with these cryptids. Part of me, when they do report it, encourages them to report it right away. But also, like, is there some kind of, make it a little TMI gross, but like, is there some sort of sampling that can be taken after something like that to see like what exactly are they interacting with? Because maybe then you find, oh, that's not human at all, or partially human. Do you know what I mean? Just like break down the actual DNA genetics of whatever material might be left behind.
Well, there's two parts to that make that a little bit difficult. So one, I think they do get a lot of samples, supposedly, of hair, of saliva, of feces, of all kinds of like bodily excretions. I cannot recall right off the top of my head, like if, like semen has been collected or, just like sexual fluids in general have been collected and tried to be tested. I don't know that. But second, it's very expensive to like genetically and test these things for DNA and see what kind of animal is it. It's a very, very expensive process to do. And when it's already a subject that the scientific community in general, turns their nose down about, like they don't want to be associated with that. Like, it's hard to convince somebody to do that, like an established, like, agency to do that. So, yeah, they do run into a lot of walls like that, which sounds like a cop out, but those are challenges they run into.
Well, that, and it's more time consuming, and it's like, well, let's put it on the priority list, right? It's like, I got to do all these tests first that matter more in the scientific world. Like, I'll get to this, but it's going to take a while, I'm sure, that kind of stuff. Right.
It's like, hey, I'm over here like discovering new species of like, bugs and animals we've never heard of. Okay, you want me to test some of your Bigfoot poop? Oh, okay. All right, I gotcha. Like, yeah. Priorities, man.
The conspiracy theorist loving person in me kind of wonders, though, if some of these individuals do report it, do get tested, and don't say what they experienced, right? Like, hey, I think it was a Bigfoot. Just, hey, this happened and I'm not sure what's going on. It gets tested. They're like, I don't want to acknowledge what that is because that makes me look crazy. So we're just gonna, the sample's been destroyed. It's gone. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's an interesting world, but to your point about having people that are anthropologists and other type of scientific fields, it would be interesting to see if they applied their tools and their type of research into this, what we could potentially find. Because to your point, cryptids aren't necessarily some mythological, magical, like not automatically. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but it's just something that hasn't been documented yet. So,
right. Well, I mean, to that point, like, I mean, I think that's why Dr. Meldrum's work was so profound and Dr. Kranz's work was so profound, because they both were anthropologists. And I know, like, Meldrum, like, he applied his sincerely, like, very, very, like, genius level knowledge of, like, how like older human forms and like the evolution of those forms, and how bones work together, and how, like, specifically feet like work, and the bones of feet, and how it all fits together evolutionarily, and now I can't speaking. And so he was, like, huge on the footprints, because he was like, this is why these are important. This is why we should pay attention to these, because they've got, like, these special, like, bumps where real feet should have them. These have the dermal ridges that only, like, primate feet and hands have. And so it would be crazy to assume that hundreds of hoaxsters are running around out there in the woods in these remote areas to plant an anatomically correct footprint of a Bigfoot, just in hopes that somebody will stumble upon it. It's got dermal ridges. So he was looking scientifically at that stuff, and yeah, that's why his work was just so eye-opening.
Did he, in his research, come to any kind of theory or conclusion on where they exist? Because we know they're found in forests and woods, or at least, like, footprints and things like that, but, like, where are they hiding? Because we're not...
Where they're hiding?
Yeah, because we're not just seeing them out all over the place, right? They go somewhere. Yeah. So where do they go?
Trying to recall, I want to say he remained a little bit speculative about that, but he would float the ideas of, like, perhaps in caves, and perhaps they're animal enough to be out there in the first place, but intelligent enough to know that humans are not their friend, and they need to be better than the best at concealing themselves. So they could very well be right there. You're looking out in the woods, and they could be standing right there, and you wouldn't see them. Caves. What was the other spot? Just, like, very remote areas that people wouldn't ordinarily go, like, remote mountaintops and stuff, and only come down for, like, food or, just out of necessity, that kind of stuff.
Hide and seek champs.
Yeah.
Portals.
Yes, they are. Portals. Oh no, he would not like that. But
He would not like that.
I like that. I do like that theory. I like the interdimensional Bigfoot theory too.
Why not? Maybe some of them. I mean, maybe they're mistaken for Bigfoot. Maybe there are big cryptids that aren't, Bigfoot, but they look like Bigfoot, but they're from, out of this world, another dimension. Who knows?
Yeah, because it's like, where's our body? We had to have discovered a body at this point, right? Where's that going?
The portals, that's more on the kind of magical realm, and this is where your new world intersects, because now you're looking into the Appalachian Mountains and the lore within there. So so for the Appalachian research that you're doing, is that what your podcast is focused on this season, or do you kind of intersperse it with other things?
No, that is what this entire season is going to be about, and taking it in chunks right now because it is a huge subject, and it's overwhelming because I don't know if you know this, Appalachia is haunted as hell, and they got a lot of cryptids and monsters and magic to talk about. But I was so excited to be able to do it, and I'm glad, like I did, audience participation and voting on the subject. I'm really glad that they picked it, because I remember years ago when you started seeing those videos on TikTok and Instagram of, don't ever whistle in the woods, and if you hear your name called, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Just so mysterious. Oh my God, what is it? What's out there? It's just the mystery of it. And so just being totally freaked out by that stuff, and it's like, I know that there's more to this. And so when we decided that was the season subject, it was very cool to be able to dive in. But yeah, like I was saying, we're doing it in chunks. So right now I've just gotten through the first section of the season, which was all about superstitions and magic and traditions and healing. A lot of the history of Appalachia, because I do like to set up that, that foundational basis in which to launch off from, and then talk about, more fantastical things of the area. So we are just now getting into, the monstrous shapeshifters up first.
Now, that is an area with a high focus. I mean, the U.S., we have all sorts of little pockets, right? But that is one that everybody knows about, whether you're in the paranormal world or you're in the cryptid world or you're in all of these different, even the extraterrestrial. Every person that believes in these kind of high level metaphysical topics, that is a big draw, that specific area. And I don't want to say it's such a long stretch, but we'll call it an area. And like you said, there's a lot of superstition and healing and magic around it and folklore. And at the heart of it, it's like, what is it about that area that just draws all of that?
Well, see, that's where I think the people themselves tend to keep this concentration of paranormal and dark and mysterious and creepy, topics. I think they help to keep that kind of concentrated in this area. Because Appalachia, the region, has spent so long, hundreds of years. It was the initial pioneering landscape. That's where people settled to begin with. That was the first America, and they stayed so isolated for so long, even as people started to branch out and started to move over to the Midwest and even further, and back over to the coast and whatnot. Became the coastal elites. There was just this set community of people. I don't know how else to describe that, but it retained this aspect of community and tight knit, and it's us. And then there's the outside world and the outsiders, and they don't have our best interests at heart. And so we're going to keep our traditions and our faith, our form of faith, and our magic. It works. Our magic works for us. The way that we heal ourselves works for us. And just to keep all of these things kind of confined basically to the mountains, because, they were isolated, like physically, they couldn't really easily leave and come, back and forth either. So I think that plays a big part in that retention of this kind of energy. And that does bear fruit there when you go to look at all of the stories that most people are going to be familiar with too. They are highly concentrated in Appalachia, things like dogmen sightings and certain Bigfoot sightings and Mothman and Pukwudgies. And I mean, I'm sure you could name 10 off the top of your head right now. And it's likely they're from Appalachia. It's just, yeah, it's born of that close-knit, tradition-based, faith-based culture.
Is it because of the landscape itself? Because that was one thing that I was really fascinated about. I mentioned it on the podcast before, just how old it is, right? It's 480 million years, when they started. So yeah, for a really, really long time. And what has that brought in, and what has that kept there? And maybe that's why they stayed there, right? Because it wasn't just their magic, but it was the magic with where they're at and just not wanting to move.
Yeah, well, I do think that there is something a bit more enigmatic than, of course, just their tradition and faith system, because the natives before them, like the Cherokee and the Creek tribes and the Algonquin tribe, those people that were there for, thousands of years before these white settlers came in, they thought that the mountains were magic and mysterious, and something about the fog. The fog was spiritual to them. There was already magic there in the landscape. The mountains were listening. The trees were watching. So there was already that aspect there. So yeah, I do think that there is something there. Not far enough into the season to be like for sure, like, yes, it's definitely, populated with all kinds of cryptids and this is for real or whatever. I'm trying to stay logical and like measured about it. But yeah, I do think that there is something to that aspect of it.
I do wonder if there is also a metaphysical aspect of the age of the mountains, because I think they're over 400 million years old in terms of when they first started forming, which that's pretty old. And we look at other places on Earth that are old and they kind of carry this energy that's just a bit different, right? This ancient energy that's older than us, older than anything else we can kind of dream of. And I do wonder if that's why people were drawn to settle there, and why that's kind of I don't want to say easier, but a little bit more of a conductor for being able to hold that, magic and folklore. And it almost is like, listeners are going to kick me, but it's almost like the American version of like our own Scotland, right? Or our own Ireland. Like, just that age and the people's natural draw to be there and hold that special kind of, no matter how the world is progressing and changing, holding that magic and that folklore.
Yeah, that's so interesting you say that, because at one time before Pangea split, the Appalachians were connected to Scottish Highlands.
I didn't know that. See, there we go. It's our own Scotland.
That's so weird. I cannot remember if it was directly connected or by like another mountain chain, but yeah, that was a part of the same thing, same system.
Which makes you kind of wonder if they are connected by like another mountain chain, where that is, and is that same area kind of experience something similar now?
Yeah. I mean, the Appalachians are pretty long. We might have dropped a little bit along the way in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere along the way. But yeah, like an Appalachia does not stop in the United States. It is not our, sole possession. It's up in Canada too, stretches way up there too. So yeah, it's long and it's old. And as far as like metaphysically speaking, like what are your general thoughts on like objects or things being able to hold on to energies, like certain energies? Maybe perhaps that plays into it.
For me personally, I think that that's absolutely a thing, because, you think about what powers our devices, what holds charges. And so, our mountains, everything, our Earth is made of different rock compounds, and those rocks are able to conduct or hold or stabilize energies or excite. And so for me, just the science behind it, I think it's possible. Now, I'm not a geologist, but it is one of those things where I think it is possible. And I think given the composition, because it is older, it's likely got a wider composition of different materials over time, which might be part of why it draws different things. If you believe in that, might be why you have extraterrestrial and you have cryptids and you have granny magic and you just all of it, all the magical creatures are drawn to it, kind of like a moth man to a flame. But
that was good. That was good. I like that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that similar to what you were saying with like your evolution of your belief when it came to Bigfoot and Sasquatch, as you dove into that world, for me, us diving into the podcast and talking to people with the different perspectives and stories and all of their different research, I definitely have come into a space of believing more. That like I think objects, and specifically our Earth, we are able to it's able to hold things. Do I think it's sentient? Probably not. But do I think it's capable of holding energies and that causing other things to vibrate in different ways? I think maybe so.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say you ever want to ground yourself, if you're getting all manic or overexcited or anxious, whatever, take your shoes off, go outside, put your feet on that ground, and you stand there. Because of the vibrations, those energetic vibrations, it grounds you, puts you back to good.
Yeah, one of our guests told me to go outside and hug a tree.
Oh no.
She said, I'm floating too high. You got to ground yourself, girl. I'm like, okay. But
As long as they didn't tell you to, go kick rocks or touch grass. Oh shit.
there are some thoughts, and I'd love to know if you've stumbled upon this in terms of any research that you've done, but there is a theory out there, and I know that, okay, let me walk it back. The earth does have vibrations. The more you get into the metaphysical world, people call it the harmonics of the earth. And there are beliefs that people that are able to connect to those harmonics tend to be able to manifest and harness, we'll call it magic or metaphysical gifts in ways that maybe others aren't quite as adept to. So for what you have found, because music is a very strong component when it comes to the Appalachian folklore and cultural systems, have you found that ties in some way? Are they maybe speaking about the earth's harmonics, but maybe with different semantics?
Are the people or their systems speaking about? Maybe I need to rephrase, or are you talking about their music?
I just said it in a really weird way. That's all. It was. I said it so all over the board. So phrasing of words. I have words. My brain is still trying to form the question. Yeah, because we do. There is this concept about the harmonics, and I found that the binaural beats has become very popular, and how different frequencies can, target different goals, whether it be stress reduction or, transcendence and so forth. I even saw one for fat loss. I go down rabbit holes myself. But I do wonder, because it is a highly music-centered area as well, I wonder if they are potentially tapping into those harmonics, inadvertently tapping into it, or naturally, maybe not even inadvertently, just intuitively. So I'm wondering if you have maybe in your research sensed anything along those lines.
I haven't, but that's it's an interesting theory, and you might be onto something there, because I didn't get too deeply into the music aspect. I did talk about it a little bit, but you're absolutely right. Like, it's such a very specific form of music as well, like Appalachian music, and the cool thing about it is it took all of those people to come together to create that very specific music that's not anywhere else. It took, the Africans creating the banjo, and then the Irish bringing over, like everybody contributed like different instruments, and then that they created that sound, that very specific sound, which is just it just goes hand in hand with that region and that feeling and that culture. So it could very well have that kind of effect and kind of be conducive to maybe certain activities and I don't know, certain metaphysical manifestations of some sort. But yeah, to kind of act like a conductor of some sort, just with that vibration, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to think about. I'm not sure.
Well, there's just a lot of audio in general out there that you don't hear a lot of other places. It's not just music, right? Like you hear from these cryptids or whatever, maybe that's part of it too. They're able to harness something that, I don't know if it's connected with that, or maybe it's just what they are and they're able to do, like the mimicking. Like I've read a lot of stories, there's a lot of, these kind of scary tales about, like, out in the woods, you hear mimics of these things matching your voice and all of that. And I don't know, like that. I don't know if that connects at all, but it scares me more than makes me want to like go, hey, let's go find out what that sound is all about.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I'll want to hike the Appalachian Trail with me. Let's go take a walk. I don't know. Yeah, could tie you in there. possibly. I will say the mimic, the Appalachian mimic, that is how I was introduced to the concept of the mimic. Terrifying.
Yes.
It just terrifies me so much.
What is that?
Oh. So, one of the reasons that you don't whistle in the woods, one of the reasons, if you hear your name, no, you didn't. If you see something, no, you didn't. You hear babies screaming in the woods, no, you didn't. You don't go investigate. You leave well enough alone. You mind your business. Because something is out there, and it wants to lure you out there, into the dark, into the woods. And then... I don't know, whatever happens after that. But yeah, just one of the many reasons, on top of werewolves and Bigfoot and all kinds of nasty creatures. But the mimic, the way that it has been portrayed, definitely on like creepypasta forums and Reddit, spooky story threads, whatever. But it has been portrayed as some entity who has this ability to sound like you, sound like somebody that you know, a loved one. It also has the ability to look like you and look like people you know, and use those abilities in order to lure you to, your inevitable demise, I think. I've seen certain videos that just, oh God, they send a chill up my spine, because it's like, what? Like, this has got to be fake. This is crazy. One I recently watched, and I did talk about it on the show because it just stuck with me. This girl is like wrapping up, like taking care of her cow in a barn. It's like an open air stable or whatever. And she's wrapping up and she's shooting this video, a cell phone video, for her dad to see, like, look, I'm doing it. I'm taking care of the cows. I'm almost done and I will be on my way soon. And she goes to pan like around the barn, and she stops on this figure standing in the corner who's like turned back to her, facing just in the corner, standing super still. And it takes you a while of watching the video because she immediately gets scared. You can tell. It takes you a minute, but you do figure out that that's her. That's her that she's watching. And that's why she immediately, like, she shut up. She stopped talking. She puts the camera down, and she just immediately starts walking to her car. Doesn't say anything, doesn't wrap up, doesn't turn the light, starts walking to her car. And she gets in her car. And then she has, adventures trying to find her keys at that point. So,
of course.
But like that kind of story. People... so many stories of people reporting having these experiences with mimics in their own house, like being, chilling in their room, and they're supposedly alone in the house. Their whole family's away. And then suddenly they hear their mother on the other side of the door, like, honey. And it always tips people off because it is their voice. But the thing with the mimic is it can never quite get it right. There's like a mechanical feature to it, or just a difficulty with certain words like that. It's so close to being human, so close to being right, but it's not. So isn't it wonderful, Ashley? Isn't it just lovely?
I want to go there right away.
All right. Yes. In the basement. Yes.
This is what I love when it comes to this idea of cryptids and the unknown crossing cultures, because you mentioned there was a Native American background and influence, and all I could think about when you're describing this are skinwalkers, and you've got this evolution almost, or like that's now kind of merged with the other cultures into this thing, right? It's called the mimic, but very similar. When you were describing it was reminding me of the skinwalkers, and it's just like, oh man, it's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. Absolutely terrifying. I would have noped out of there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that exact, like, you making that connection right there, that exact point that you just made is going to lead you off onto a lot of different thought process. Because one, to dispel a myth here, to just say a fact here, that there are no skinwalkers in Appalachia. And Appalachians don't want to hear you say that either.
Of course not.
And definitely Navajo do not want to hear you say that. but the Cherokee, you know, they had other creatures and they had other stories too. But the thing is, like, you know, the skinwalker as a creature and this just feared entity in Navajo culture. Once it became more mainstream and people started figuring it out, like, was that the moment that this mimic character kind of came into our, you know, cultural awareness? Was that when it was born? Was there something there all along? And now we kind of have like
Different word.
something to put over it and to kind of like identify it as that's what that is. Is it more so based on the Cherokees' legends and lores? You know, they had I think it was Algonquin originally, the Wendigo. You know, was it something like that? Because they had a bunch of stories about, like, you know, not necessarily shape shifting, but like it's just a magical element to animals, and definitely spirits and forest spirits and things that could lure you away, you know, into the dark and never be seen again. So yeah, what influence played into that? But you know, there's all these possibilities. Like, where did this thing come from, or was it there all along, and now we can name it? Now we can know what it is.
Well, that, and there are like records of people going missing and never being found again. Like, there's so many people that like just disappeared out of thin air. They were with a group, they just started walking, and then they never found again.
Yeah.
That trips me out.
Seasoned hikers even, just gone. They should have been just fine. But you're right too. Like in groups, a person just goes missing when they were with a group. Their friends turn around and they're just gone. You know, no sign of animal attack. No sign of a struggle anywhere. They didn't fall. They didn't get lost. They were right there, and then they're, you know, just never heard from again. What happened?
Yeah, it's super scary. And with just go back to the mimic thing, like, just I always think of like modern representations of that. Like, for me, I'm always a big fan of sci-fi, so I think of the Predator, the way he uses it. You know, I want a horror movie with the Predator that just uses that, like, has that kind of story, and don't even show the Predator, just all, you know, representation of that, because that's I feel like they got some of those ideas, you know, from those tales, right? And also the movie Annihilation. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh God, it's there's one scene where there's an animal and it makes a human sound, and yeah, it's definitely one of those movies that you like. It's worth watching just for that. The CGI in it is really good, but it does mimic. So Kristen, would you go out there? Like, I mean, you're doing all this research. Like, is that kind of part of it?
I would absolutely go out there. I'm trying to put feelers out there right now. I've got a couple of leads to actually put boots on the ground this season and go out and do some actual work and meet the people and talk with the people and just get it firsthand. I don't know if I'll be able to get that together before the end of the season, but I would absolutely love to go. I would love to. It's all of the paranormal and the scary aside. I feel like if you respect the culture and the people and the location and nature, if you have a healthy dose of respect for it, and you know, you don't do anything stupid, I think you'll be okay. There's people that live there their whole lives and they're perfectly fine. But it is so beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. I want to spend like a whole week in like North Carolina alone. It's just absolutely breathtaking. So I just want to spend some time in that. Would you?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Hell yeah.
I mean, with a group, with a, you know, satellite phone, with my regular phone, with
yeah,
you know, redundancies, air tags on me, like all of the things.
Just a couple precautions.
You know.
Yeah, you know, yeah. You want to be found after it's all said and done. We understand.
Sure.
I mean, cryptids and mimics aside, the idea of folklore and urban legends and the importance of lore when it comes to maintaining a culture that has defied kind of the progression of time to an extent, right? They've held so deep to these roots is pretty special, and I think would be really exciting to go be a just experience, just
Mm-hmm.
see
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that looks like. Now, I imagine it's a little difficult to experience that because they've held on so tight. It's like outsider, get away. But I don't know. It is amazing when you can see a group hold so tightly to these integral parts of their culture and their foundations and keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. And I sure hope it's not like this feeling of, oh, outsider bad, slam.
City folk.
Yeah, they have city slicker. They have held very, very tightly. It's special to them, and it is something special. And even their accent, it's a very special thing, and it's a very old way of like using words and using tonalities and like diphthongs and just the way that they use language. It's a very old way of doing it. The whole thing is just very special, and I'm glad that they hold on to that. But they're people just like anybody else. There's going to be assholes that you run into, and then there's going to be like some that are just more amenable to come on in, come on up. Let's talk. Let me tell you a story. I hope I meet some of those.
Yeah, there's got to be some groups there that are like all about that, right? I'm sure that there's plenty of groups that either are from there or visit there often, that they do regular kind of tours and things and give people that experience, right? I mean, unless it's unwanted, I guess.
Now, is there a level of magic that you've researched within that specific area that has just like surprised you that you didn't know existed there? Maybe just something that you've learned that really surprised you, like, wow, that I was completely unexpected.
I guess granny magic, period, which would be your Appalachian magical system. And just like everything else that is Appalachian culture, Appalachian based, it is a mixture. It takes all of the people. It takes some input, some influence from all of the people, from native influences, from the African influences, that Celtic influence, even British influence. It all comes together. German influence all comes together. So you got powwowing with the Germans. You had hoodoo with freed and enslaved Africans that came into the area. You had very superstitious Christian-based ideas about health and magic coming from the British Isles, and it all coming together, all culminating to create this system of magic that is like the sweetest, coolest form of magic. I feel like it's my jam. Like it's for the common folk. It's for the common person. Anybody could do it. Take it seriously. If you wanted, anybody listening, you want to try it out, like take it seriously. But it's very, I don't know. It's like this coalition of just all these influences, and I think that is really special. That's really cool. And I have tried a couple of their more, I guess you would call them wacky cures and such. But bottom line, it's all based on like you did these things out of necessity. And you did these things using the tools that you had at your disposal. It's very like I don't know, salt of the earth, if that's a way to explain it. Just really just normal, authentic salt of the earth people. And this is their system of healing themselves and dispelling curses and tricks and, getting rid of haints and witches. And I don't know, it's just this very real sense of magic. I don't know how to explain it, but it was cool. I loved researching that.
Would you guys go? I didn't ask. Ashley, John, would you guys go there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't go whistling in the woods, but I would absolutely go to the area.
There might be something to that whistling in the woods and definitely whistling at night. That's a worldwide phenomenon. Everybody says you shouldn't do that. So beware.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
What is it about the whistle?
I'll find out.
No, calling out.
John will whistle. He'll whistle
All right.
through the
Thank
woods.
you.
I'll do it. I
Thank
don't
you,
mind.
John.
Why not?
Thank you. Appreciate your sacrifice, bud.
Yeah, I've actually been on a couple paranormal investigations where people were whistling at night, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's something that you should be doing. What are you trying to call in here?
That actually kind of brings up, like, there's a park kind of near me that had a whole, and I think I brought it up on the podcast before, like, that had stuff happen. And my cousin's boyfriend at the time was whistling, and we would hear whistling back from far away. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So hopefully nobody's actually there. I mean, it had like a bike path and everything, but we would get whistles back, or even sometimes we would just hear it and not have whistled beforehand. And we're like, probably shouldn't mess with that, but kind of curious anyway. It's creepy.
Well, that does bring up a question. What would be creepier to you, to find out that some entity who heard your call and has given it back, or another human out there hiding in the
Depends
dark?
on the human.
Whistling back.
For sure.
It does. It does. That's fair.
I could take a human most likely. I don't know about wendigos or mimics or you know what's interesting is that's like you guys said, that is a widespread belief among many cultures. Like you should not whistle at night, and it can draw, depending on your culture and your belief system, it'll draw different entities, whether it be female demons or skinwalkers or, you know, mimics or witches. Like it just, there's so many, the list goes on. And it's like, why do all of these people hold the same belief? It really does. I love that when that intersects, when cultures intersect with the same belief, because then to me, that signals there's something there. What it is, I don't know, but there's something there. And terrifying and exciting. You know, going back to like the whole energy thing and like the harmonics, it makes me wonder, what is it about the whistle? Is there a specific vibration that's occurring that it vibrates on that level that draws those creatures in because they're on that vibrational level?
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Good callback. Oh, that's right. Because that's just pure vibration. That's just pure audio vibes, baby.
And then I think of Kill Bill.
I think of Kill Bill. Oh yeah. Man, that's a good movie. I haven't seen that forever.
Now that I think about it, I actually did a documentary with a family from Africa that was here in town, and that one of their rules in their house when we were filming was just don't whistle. Like it was like very simple. Like that was just one of the big rules. I was like, huh, okay. And they told us it was, it was bad luck more than anything else, but they don't allow whistling in their home. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So
yeah, that's true, and that's cross culturally as well. Like depending on the culture, telling that particular superstition, they may have differing reasons for not doing that. It brings bad luck and misfortune, or it can call certain entities different entities from other cultures, like Ashley said. But yeah, it all comes back to that one rule. What is it?
What if it's the energy behind it? Because you think about the whistle itself. We whistle to call things, to attract things. And so when you don't have an intentional target, like I'm calling my dog, I'm whistling at my dog, or whistling at a pretty lady walking across the street. No, I'm just kidding. Like that is a focus. But when it's just out in the earth, you're just whistling it out. Anything could answer. Kind of like I think of paranormal games, a lot of them incorporate knocking, right? If you knock on a wall or knock on a door, because there's nothing on the other side, you're kind of opening that metaphysical door to draw something in. So I wonder if maybe it's just the action itself. When you don't have an actual target or focus, it's calling everything.
Yeah, which can be scarier than anything because you don't know what's going to answer. And just like the knocking, it's a vibrational invitation to something, anything.
Oh, I like that. A vibrational invitation. That's what the whistle is. Look at us. We're going to write our own book.
And we all whistle. Does everybody know how to whistle here?
I whistle like a chipmunk.
I'm terrible, but yes.
Can you whistle, John?
Yeah, not well,
Yeah.
but enough.
Enough to
have
call in
stuff
something.
call something. Yeah, exactly. So
To get whistled back.
BJ, later, take your phone with you outside.
you always get
recorded to start
volunteered.
whistling.
Yep.
It's because he's down. It's a paranormal game, BJ.
There you go.
Come on, BJ. Do it for the
Okay,
cause.
because of
For
peer
science.
pressure. For science. And
For
peer
science.
pressure.
I feel like BJ is kind of like the Aaron Goodwin of Ghost Adventures, but like he's like our Aaron Goodwin of 3Haunted podcast. You get volunteered to go sit in this room by yourself, or you go do this. Unless I volunteer too, but
Mostly.
Gosh.
But the whistling thing,
He's
I don't
my
know, man.
favorite.
That one
I'll do
gets
it.
me.
That's
I have
cool.
a weird feeling
Yeah.
about that for whatever
Listen to
reason.
your intuition.
Yes.
We'll let you
No.
down. Don't do it.
I'm gonna be the devil on your other shoulder and be like, "Go do it. Go try it. Do it anyway."
Notice he said the devil. Don't do it.
No, thank you.
So for your research, what's your next rabbit hole? What's the next topic within the Appalachian lore that you're diving into?
Well, I happen to have my whiteboard pulled up here. So, like I mentioned, currently I am working on Appalachian shape shifters. So we are talking about a couple of native legends and lore of shapeshifters and moving into things like dogman and werewolf, and might be talking about the mimic because of their ability to shapeshift. And then we are going to move into just back to back, like beasts of the backwoods. We're talking the weird and strange, the very well known, the not so well known. Just I want to explore and visit as many of these cryptids and monsters that people have said that they have seen out there as I can in the next like 6 episodes or so. And then we'll do a special like series looking at the Snallygaster, the Dwayyo, the Wizard of South Mountain, because it's all tied together. The paperclip incident, I think there's something called the paperclip incident that's also tied together in there. It's a huge story. So, and I don't know it. So we're going to be looking at that, wrapping up our cryptids, and then we will probably move into more ghosty things of Appalachian haunted prisons and such, and disappearing towns, high strangeness. Oh, we will talk high strangeness. There's apparently, I heard some channel talking about it. There's this stretch of road in Georgia that when people drive down it, not always, but some people have reported this. They drive down it and they end up at this like gas station. Have you heard the story? Okay. It's so cool. That kind of high strangeness. Yeah. So just to fill in the listeners, they arrive at this gas station. It's not quite right. It seems old. Seems dirty, seems dusty. There's this real old, like, grizzled man just kind of staring at him behind the counter, whatever. They get their gas and they go. And then somehow or other, you have to remind me, BJ, they end up, like, coming back to the area.
Mm-hmm. They
and
find
the
their
gas
way
station's
back to the main road.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same place. And the gas station was closed down. Like, but it was, like, shuttered or something. Like, it had not been open in decades.
Yes. Or gone completely. There's stories of people.
Yes. Yeah, right. I've heard those stories as well. And then I think the last one I heard, it was this story, similar to this story, but the weirdest connection. Somebody else had written in after hearing the storyteller tell this story, and they were like, the person that those kids said that they saw in the gas station was my father. And he talked about this when I was a kid. These strange-looking kids coming into the gas station. That's why he was staring. Coming into the gas station and then leaving real quick, like scared, scampering out. And she had like provided a photo of her father, like for the storyteller to show the original storyteller. And I guess the original storyteller was like, "Yeah, that's the guy that we saw." And it was like the timeline. I don't know, timelines meshing up.
It's like time overlapping. I love that.
Yeah. So we'll get into some weird stuff.
And he said that he saw them, that they were dressed funny and they had a phone, right? So like it's like they went to the past. It was like the 90s or 80s or something. And then he remembered them. And then crazy.
Yeah, and that's the coolest story. But yeah, I want to find more like that. So
that is high strangeness. I love stuff like that though, and it pulls me right back to why all of this there. Oh man, that's it. Maybe it has to do with the ancient Earth kind of. I have no idea, but it is one of those things when we hear about such a high concentration of different ideologies kind of overlapping, whether it's time folding and beasts and wizards and like granny magic and just everything, you name it, right? And mimics. And it's like, why is it so heavy here?
I don't know. It's gotta be energetically based, and it's like magnetically keeping it all confined to this space, confined within the mountains. Or people are really just crazy. They be crazy. They be making stuff up. They be mistaking animals out in the woods.
So
come on.
I have to tell you, Kristen, the high strangeness story you just told about that I heard about before. That's why I asked you the question earlier about if you've had people online that were talking live that would talk about the same thing, because in that particular story, there was like a bunch of people that chimed in that knew that gas station and have had those same experiences. And I'm like, oh, please tell me there's something like that.
I know, that would be fantastic. No. We have not had that yet. But fingers crossed, we're still going strong.
I definitely look forward, though, to hearing all of the different episodes that come out on Paranorm Girl podcast and following this journey, because I've always had a fascination. I just haven't taken the time to really dive into the Appalachian folklore and all of the, magic that surrounds it. So I'm excited to see through you, you doing all the research for us, what's out there. That would be really neat.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I don't know that I would be able to listen quite as deeply, learn it quite as deeply if I didn't have to force myself to do the research every week to figure out, these best kept secrets and long lost stories and stuff like that, like the real juicy stuff. But I'm just so glad that I get to dive into this time, because I don't think I would have had a similar opportunity otherwise. Now, you'll have to keep me posted with your thoughts if you do catch any. That'd be awesome.
Oh, no, I will. I thoroughly intend to. Speaking of which, where are listeners able to tune in to all of this?
Ooh, they can catch the show on any podcast platform. I'm everywhere. I do also upload video versions of it, so you can see my smiling face on YouTube. I also host live interviews. I've been doing those about once a month. I did cut back on my interviews, but about once a month averaging. So you can catch that at Paranorm Girl Pod. That's the handle for the YouTube. And that is actually the handle for all of my socials as well. It's the same across the board at Paranorm Girl Pod. But yeah, catch me everywhere, folks, and on your favorite listening platform.
I absolutely love your approach to how you put together your podcast, how each season focuses on a topic and you really deep dive in. We are constantly saying when we talk about a topic, oh man, we could go on and have more and more and more episodes, because topics are just so deep and complex and big. And so I love that you pick a topic and you really dive into it and explore it, because they can be intimidating, especially when you come into something like Appalachian folklore, right? That is where do you even start when it comes to something like that. So the fact that you really break it down for people and make it accessible is awesome.
Oh, it's exactly how you eat an elephant.
One bite at a time.
That's right.
Well, thank you for taking the bites for us.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Can I shout out my other show?
Please do. No, please.
Is that okay?
Yes. Shout out any projects or anything you'd like to. Yeah.
It's totally different than my regular private show. You won't even recognize me. No, it's a live call-in para talk radio format show. It's comedy, and I co-host it with three guys, Gil and Joey from the Black Cat Report, and Damien. He's a paranormal investigator, and it is called Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen. And we go live once a month near the beginning of each month. I'm not sure when this talk will air, but we are about to go on and have a special guest in just a couple of days here on Saturday. So, just follow us at Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen on YouTube. That doesn't quite flow as easily for me. And just click the notify me bell to get notified when we go live. And then just to kind of put this out there in the universe, I am involved in a new project. It's really exciting, and I think by the time this interview airs, we might be like really rolling with it, so people can keep an eye out for it. But I've been invited to take part in a brand new, it's a radio station based paranormal platform. It'll stream 24 hours a day. It's very paranormal podcast creator centric platform, very supportive of the creators, very supportive of the listeners, and it's just being created to be this very tight knit, all inclusive, very involved platform for people, both creators and listeners, to come together and amuse each other and chat with your favorite creators and such like that. That Patreon, how was it explained? Patreon meets community radio meets Discord. That was described to me, and that is called Paranormal FM. So hopefully y'all can keep an eye out for that pretty soon on the socials and join in the fun. We would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for you, and congratulations on the new project and the continuation of the old.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me back on again. This was fun.
I know you do so much, so it is always a privilege when we can get you on. So I appreciate you carving out time to come speak about this stuff with us. You are a phenomenal guest, but also just a wonderful person. So,
oh golly, you're making me blush, girl. Thank you, thank you guys. You all rock. You all rock so hard.
Thank you. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap this awesome episode up?
I'm just excited for more content. I mean, it's become a kind of an obsession. The the area, just all of it. It's been fun, and to hear you just go deep diving into it and all the other things. I'm glad that there's people like you out there that that do this kind of work, and because I mean, it takes time and energy, and that's you only have so much of it in a day, right? And I appreciate that you put in that time, because it's not easy, and I'm sure you get super tired. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that, BJ. Yeah, I don't know if I have any final thoughts. Just be good, everybody. Be good to each other out there. Keep your minds open. Be sure you eat. All right. That's it. That's my final thoughts tonight.
Can we leave off with, would you tell us about the Sin Eater?
Sure. I'll tell you what I know. Because nobody talks about it. And I was so excited to discover it. So the Sin Eater is actually a very old concept. And it does come from old, Britain and Irish, Welsh, those cultures. And it was a necessity for these communities to have this particular character in their society who was often ostracized and kind of put outside of the community for what he did, the service that he provided to the community. But again, it was a necessity. They needed him. And what he did was for a very small price, usually like 2 to 6 pence, I believe. It was very, very, very low. He would come to the house of someone who had recently departed, and waiting for him on the chest of that person would be a cup of mead or beer or, some kind of beverage and some bread. And it would have been sitting there for a while. And the idea being that it's kind of soaked up some energy of the sins of this person if they hadn't gotten a chance to confess their sins prior to death. And then the sin eater would go over and he'd do a little ritual, say some words, and then he would sit there and he would drink the beverage and he would eat the bread, thereby consuming the sins of the departed. And then he would take his payment and he would leave. And far earlier in the history of the Sin Eater, people just despised this character because of all of this evil, because of all of these sins that he took on. So it just kind of came without saying that, this person, the more and more he did his job, the more evil he became, the darker he became. What kind of person takes on all these people's sins? What does that turn you into? You're a monster. So earlier in its history, when he goes to leave, and I keep saying he, it was a lot of times he, but it could have been female as well. But when he goes to leave, he might be ushered out with yelling and sticks and slapping and not very nice things. Get off my property. Get off my lawn. And go hide back in your house. This concept, it would evolve over the ages, and people don't think that it really translated over into the New World, but I have it on good authority that it did. And it was kept very, very quiet. There weren't a lot of them performing this service in the New World, but there were some. And so this idea of sin eating, as far as I've been told by my super secret contacts, it is still going on today in some circles. It is definitely not as prevalent as it's ever been. Like it's very rarely done, but it is still a service that can be performed for people who, follow the old ways. And if they want their loved one to go on to heaven, they can't be burdened by their sins. So what else are you supposed to do if they died without being able to confess? So they'll hire a sin eater.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That's cool. I never heard of that before.
Yeah. There's been some books written about it, but they're all like fiction based. So I was like, no, that's not what I know that there's something here. I know that there is. And I was right.
Of course, you followed your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. You're welcome. Yeah.
John Thomas, do you have any?
I just want to say thank you for sharing that. That was very interesting, and I've never heard about it either, so I appreciate that. And thank you for coming on, of course.
Absolutely. Anytime, you guys.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Oh, I'm going to ping you. Actually, I would love to get you back on after you're done with the full Appalachian series. So that we can then see what else have you learned. So
hell yeah.
Love that.
Oh, I'll be so excited when I actually know what I'm talking about at that point. So can just dump it on you guys. Yeah.
It is such a huge elephant to be tackling. So even what you're sharing is just leagues beyond what any of us know. So we're just soaking it in.
Oh.
All right. Bija Segura, do you want to bring us home?
Absolutely. Again, just thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on. This is so much fun for me personally, because I geek out over this way too much online, and so should you all. And I just want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your hosts. I'm BJ Segura.
I'm Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And I'm John Thomas.
If you have any questions, comments, or episode suggestions, please feel free to email us at 3hauntedpodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe to all our social media. You don't want to miss our amazing guests like Kristen.
Also, don't forget to check out 3hauntedpodcast.com, where you can find all of our past and current season episodes, as well as guest information and all kinds of awesome merch. I forgot what I was saying.
Until next time.